Please get very loud. Get on your feet for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat!
Every session I've been here, and I know some of you already said it, and some of you already know what I'm going to say. But studying Steve Austin, I've always been a real big fan of him. So, in his behalf, and with everybody here, we having a good time? Woo! Yeah! Let's do a Steve Austin, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah!
Are you allowed to steal other people's?
Keep it PG.
You're a whole thing, you can do whatever you want.
Keep it PG.
Okay, all right. Well, keep on your feet. Let's keep it loud. I think we know what to do here.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And one of the best ever. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Bryan.
Yes. 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 Yes.
This is just an awesome moment right here. Take a second to soak this in. You have some of the best wrestlers ever in front of you right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan and Ricky. Daniel Bryan and Ricky.
If you gentlemen don't mind, I actually have a question for these guys first, then we'll have you guys answer. Assuming everything would work out and both guys are at the prime, who would win?
Disqualification.
Ricky's the ref.
No, I'm pretty sure I'd win.
No.
Appreciate it, guys. Let's start back at the beginning, and we'll start with you, Mr. Steamboat. What drew you into the sport to begin with?
You know, they billed me from Hawaii, but originally I grew up in St. Pete, Florida. And I watched Florida Championship Wrestling with Gordon Sully going through school. And on Tuesday nights, I used to drive from St. Pete over to Tampa and watch it up the Armory on Tuesday night, live. My high school sweetheart at the time went to Minnesota, going through to be a flight attendant. And her roommate was Donna Gagne. Her father was Vern Gagne, who was promoter for the AWA, the old ones that know that. And we were keeping a long-distance relationship, and she was telling me about a wrestling camp that Vern was going to hold, and the camp before this one was the one Ric Flair went through. Woo! So at the time, I was going to a junior college in St. Pete and really not going anywhere other than selling door-to-door Kirby vacuum cleaners. So I really had nothing to lose by making the drive from St. Pete, Florida to Minnesota to go through Vern's wrestling camp. And that was 1974. Next year, I will celebrate 40 years.
Does it feel like 40 years?
No, I feel great, man. You know, other than being dropped on my head a few years back and I was dying. Good.
I'm not saying this to suck up. I'm sure the group would agree. You look incredible.
You know, it's the habit. The habit. You know, ever since I was in high school, I always did some form of training, and I still, hey, everybody, guys, I still do it today 4 or 5 times a week.
Excellent, excellent. Daniel?
I forgot the question.
Why become an entertainer? Superstar.
I actually never had an interest in being an entertainer. I always wanted to be a wrestler. And
it was actually what made me love wrestling was the Clash of the Champions when Ricky wrestled Ric Flair. And I remember I was like 8 or 9 years old and remembering the light flicking on in my head, the difference between what I was seeing like with all the bravado and all that kind of stuff, and then seeing wrestling, and then having this passion for wrestling. And but I didn't think I could do it because even Ricky was 220 pounds, all that kind of stuff. In 1996, they brought Rey Mysterio to WCW. Here's a guy who's 5'3", 135 pounds, and I thought, man, if this guy can do it, there's no reason why I can't. And then in 1999, after I graduated high school, I went and trained with Shawn Michaels, and then yeah.
If you have any questions, raise your hand, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. Let's start with the guy with the no shirt right there.
What's next for you, Daniel?
Honestly, I have no idea. I try to just live my life, day by day. And with WWE, you never know what's going to happen. So it could be, I could win the WWE Championship, or I could never see me on TV again. So,
I think it's a good question for Ricky as well. What's next for you? You're working with the young pups in developmental, is that correct?
I was doing that for going on about 4 years, and then sort of got a switch to doing more of this, to which the company thought that while I still have a number of fans out there, to go ahead and take advantage of that and do more of these, be a spokesman for the company, and do more autograph sessions. So it was we got 70 guys down there at the camp, and they're all doing well, and they took a little bit from what I was trying to teach them, but I think the company then saw there was a little bit more value on me being able to do this and speak in front of the crowd before I really get sent out to pasture.
Well, I don't think we're done seeing you on TV yet, because you kind of have somebody close to you who I believe has a future ahead of him. So what are the odds that maybe Ricky and Richie are making some sort of appearance eventually?
I hope, and I pray for him every day. He's got a back problem, and in a couple weeks he's going to be flying him to Pittsburgh for Dr. Maroon to open him up. So we're actually waiting to see what the result of that. We'll probably know more in 6 to 8 more weeks, but he's bummed out about it, and it's just the nature of the beast. It's things that happen to you in this business. And I know he's young and everything, he's full of piss and vinegar, but things happen, And he's my son, and we'd like him to carry on the legacy, but we got to wait and see.
Well, we wish him the best, of course. Appreciate that. Question, white shirt right there.
I had a question for Daniel. Bryan, also a comment for Ricky. For my question for Daniel, Ricky, no matter how many times I've seen the match at WrestleMania 3, you and Randy Savage, to this day, it still keeps me on the edge of my seat. One of the best matches I've ever seen. And my question for Daniel Bryan is, are you happy? I know you're not allowed to say a lot. Are you happy with the writing of the WWE? Because I know they hired soap opera writers, and I kind of feel that from week to week, and even some of the pay-per-views, they're a little uneven. They don't allow a lot of feuds to develop over years, like with Ricky and Ric Flair, and it kind of seems like you guys are kind of limited, and do you think that they should have more wrestling people doing the writing and not soap opera people?
I personally wish there were more wrestling people doing the wrestling shows, but there's also a place for what they do. For example, the Kane and me stuff, the anger management stuff. I don't know if any of you guys have enjoyed that. Or just thought it was stupid. It's one of those things where it's hard because people who loved wrestling, I'm not sure if it's the same audience anymore. The people who grew up like the stuff with Ricky and Ric Flair and Ricky and Randy Savage and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure it's the same people watching. So they're writing for different markets. We've got kids in this room, who love me and Kane bickering back and forth, and then there are people who get angry at me that I'm doing comedy stuff. So it's you know, there's a lot of different audiences that you have to please. It's a tough question.
You know, to be successful in this business is just like Daniel was saying, the different types of characters and things that you do and the roles that you play. It's always beneficial when you can wear a number of different hats and be those different type of people when they're called upon to do it. You know, I've always been Ricky Steamboat, pretty much the same guy throughout my career. But now, you've got to be versatile, right?
Yeah, I've had to be, let's see, since I started with WWE, I've been a rookie, I've been a virgin, kids close your ears. I've been a bad guy, I've been a good guy, I've been a crazy guy, I've been a boring guy, I've been a bunch of different things. So, yeah, I've been a vegan. So.
Now, Ricky, how do you think Daniel would have done in your era?
I've always admired his work.
Okay.
Yeah. I liked him early on. You know.
Not anymore.
When he came up and he's been through the indies and worked with ROH.
Yeah, and actually, Ricky probably doesn't remember this, but one of the coolest moments in my career was in 2002. I actually wrestled in Delaware, and I wrestled Low-Key, and Ricky was our referee. So it was one of the coolest moments of my career.
I've always thought that when I said I liked him better before.
In 2001, he was way better. He sucks now.
I think today's guys are coming more with character stuff as opposed to your question about bringing back more wrestling. You know, this guy's he's a hell of a talent in the ring, and I'd like to see him being utilized more that way. You know, and then you got to do some of the backstage stuff and blend it a little bit. But this guy's talent in the ring is phenomenal.
That's on up for a while.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people, my question's for Daniel Bryan. A lot of people are probably wondering this, and do you ever mix up the Bella twins?
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Nicole and Bree are looking a little different these days. So it's a little bit harder to mix them up.
Keep it PG, kid.
Man, you have to tell kids to keep it down. Yellow shirt right there.
Daniel, I know you and like Chris Jericho kind of have a reputation for being like enhancement guys, like maybe being in a ring with a guy who has lesser skills, not to mention any names, or newer guys. Like, do you like doing that, or is it more of like, oh my god, I can't believe I got to try to make this guy look good?
Gosh, I never think of it like that. I love wrestling, and I love the challenges that wrestling different people presents. I could wrestle Seth Rollins every night and have an awesome match. But for example, I enjoyed that maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago I wrestled the Ryback on SmackDown. And I really love the challenge of it, because to me, one of the coolest things about wrestling is the creativity involved in it, and being able to wrestle different matches with different people. If I always had to wrestle Seth Rollins, as much as some of you might like it, I would probably get bored with it after a while. You know, I like the different challenges that all that represents. And I'm sure Chris does too.
It's like a segment.
Now, is there any stars you don't like working with?
Ox Baker. I'm going back, right?
My question is for Daniel Bryan, and I want to know how have you adapted to things? Has your life changed drastically, or is it pretty much the same?
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's a difficult question. So my life has changed in the sense that like people know who I am, and that's weird. Like if you go to Target or something and you see your own action figure, it makes me feel stupid, because I'm not doing anything different than what I was doing before. It's just, it's on TV, and that blows my mind, because like I don't watch television. So like people were like, oh, there's William Shatner. Do you want a picture with William Shatner? I'm like, oh, that's cool that that's William Shatner, but I don't want a picture with him or anything. And so it's changed, but it's in really weird ways. People like this. I've wrestled in front of less people than this, in a room smaller than this. And when I came out, instead of people saying yes, they just looked at me with apathy. So just coming out here and all you people doing that, that's one of the main ways that my life has changed.
You do realize Jeff Hardy, you're representing the wrong company. Go ahead and ask your question.
No, you can't.
Bryan, will we ever actually witness the cattle mutilation in WWE?
Okay, so if you pay really, really close attention, I have done it, I think, 2, maybe 3 times on television, all to this. So the WWE fan base doesn't exactly understand cattle mutilation, so I bust it out in relatively here or there when I feel like there's maybe some Ring of Honor fans or something in the crowd. But actually, Seth Rollins did it to me the other day at a live event, which was pretty funny. And it was the worst bridge I'd ever seen. So.
All the way in the back, Macho Man shirt.
Bryan, first off, I want to thank you for signing my cartoon for free instead of charging it the last Ring of Honor show.
Boo! I want it for free.
And also, I want to ask, when you got eliminated from NXT, you said, Daniel Bryan, he's a loser, so on and so forth, but Bryan Danielson. Was there ever any serious talk about going back to your birth name?
So this is the thing that people don't understand about the original NXT. They didn't tell us what was going on. Like, for example, there was the very first NXT, and they literally told us to just stand there and just react to whoever came up and whatever they said they were going to do. So we were all just standing there like, okay, this is strange. And then Miz walks up and says, Daniel Bryan, you're my rookie. Go to the ring and talk to the people and try to get the people behind you or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not my strong suit, but I'll go and I'll do my best. And then he comes down there and then he slaps me in the face, all that kind of stuff. So me getting eliminated, I didn't know I was getting eliminated. And I thought they were trying to bury me. I thought it was Matt Stryker, and he said something to the effect of, man, Daniel Bryan, you were a big fish in a small pond. Ultimately come here into WWE and drown in a larger pool or something like that. And I thought, oh, they're trying to bury me here. So if I'm gonna get fired, I'm at least gonna get my name out there. And then turns out I got fired a couple weeks later anyway, so.
Right up front.
What was, for both of you actually, what's your favorite on the road story, like, for the ride at?
Did you guys hear that question in the back? Favorite on the road story?
Ricky, you can handle this one.
I'm tossing several over. How many here know Tony Atlas? Great guy. Tony White from Roanoke, Virginia. Virginia State champion wrestler. School. Strong, big. He was in the Carolinas when I was there, late 70s, early 80s. That's going back a few years. And George Scott, who was the booker at the time, went up to Tony and said, look, I need a black guy to draw for me down in South Carolina. In this, northern South Carolina, especially in South Carolina, Charleston, Sumter, some of those towns. And this was in Charleston, and he was going to wrestle a guy by the name of 2-Ton Bunk Harris. Anybody remember that guy at all?
No, I don't
He was well into his retired years, but every now and then George Scott, the booker, would throw him a bone. But he drove the ring truck. Okay, he would drive down and set it up. And so Tony Atlas was going to wrestle 2-Ton Bunk Harris that night. He said, look, I want you to get Tony, you got 2-Ton Bunk Harris, he's an old timer. Just listen to him, you'll do all right, and you're going to get a nice little win tonight with this old guy. And back then we had time limits. Like the opening match maybe had 10 or 15 minutes, and then they went 20 minutes, and then after the intermission, all the main events went 60. They had 60-minute time limit. Tony's match was 20 minutes, and I know that he was supposed to maybe just 5 or 6 minutes. That was it. So I'm watching this match. The match, 5 minutes goes by. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by. 18, 19 minutes go by. There's a minute left in this match, and all of a sudden Tony hits him with his finish and beats 2-ton Bunk Harris. Comes back to the locker room, George Scott said, "Damn it, Atlas. Did you not understand what I'm trying to do for you for the South Carolina towns here? I want a black guy that I want to look, you look great." He said, "I told you to go out there and shine." So God bless Tony Atlas. His response in front of everybody in the locker room, he goes, "Well, Mr. Scott, I thought I was shining. I put on a half a bottle of baby oil." God bless Tony.
What about you, Daniel?
Gosh, I can't really top that without breaking the whole PG thing.
Do it. Do it.
Ring of honor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like, it's strange because a lot of my stories involve taking WWE wrestlers to vegan restaurants that not turning out very good. And like, I have so many strange stories about the Ryback. You guys have to I just can't tell them because I don't want to. I've done enough to bury the Ryback's career on radio interviews already. And he's just such a strange man, and I wish you guys knew him. He's hilarious.
Just one.
I've told this one already, so I don't feel bad telling it again. But so he does. I thought at first that the Ryback was an eating gimmick. The whole feed me more, like, because he legitimately eats so much food. Well, we went to Panera Bread. And they have a great Mediterranean veggie sandwich, black bean soup, you know, it's real nice. And, but Ryback didn't know how to order there. And so me and Cody Rhodes, we each have our little thing, and he's sitting there eating, and Ryback is just flustered, just absolutely flustered. And he comes in, and he's like, what am I even supposed to eat here? I mean, come on, there's nothing for me here. And Cody just walks up with him, and he goes, look, they've got like chicken sandwiches, there's all this kind of stuff. And so he gets to the back of the line, and he's still flustered, and he gets up, the girl at the front counter was, you know, God bless her for dealing with the Ryback. So he comes up to her, and he goes, do you guys have grilled chicken? And she's like, she didn't understand the question, you know, and she's like, no, I don't think so. Do you guys at least have salads? The lady just turns and points to a big sign that just says, salads. So, you know, he got some stuff, and he ended up spending like $60 at Panera Bread because he never thought, like, hey, I'll just get double meat or extra meat or whatever. And then he comes up to me and Cody, and he says something to the effect of this. He said, oh sure, this is a great place for guys like you know, you small guys, but guys like me, we can't eat here. And so me and Cody just look at him, so. That's, you know, most of my Ryback stories don't have good endings, like, they're just weird Ryback stories.
I heard the rumor that you have to cut out early, Daniel. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know. I've got a show in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania today, but I heard it's only cheap plug for anybody who wants to go to the show. But I think it's only an hour drive or something, so I can stay here a little bit longer.
Yeah. Give it a ride. Yeah.
Daniel, I got a question for you. Is there a lot of tension in the locker room if they want to do their own thing, but the company says, "Oh no, you gotta do what we want"? Like I was a Johnny Curtis fan. I loved the gimmick, but then he turned into Fandango.
Fandango.
You gotta abbreviate.
Okay, whatever. Fandango.
You have to enunciate.
But
Breathe them in.
There's a lot of tension about like if you have like top indie guys like coming to WWE suspecting like they want to keep doing their own thing, but the company says, oh, you gotta do what we want to do? Like, is there like a lot of tension or no?
No, I don't think so. And I think most people like me who are on the independents, I literally came to WWE expecting for them to not do anything with me. And expect me to doing something stupid like, you know, Max Moon 2 or something like that. So it really, I think if you're an independent wrestler and you've been wrestling for years, you don't necessarily expect good things to happen because you've seen, for example, my friend Bryan who I think is insanely talented as far as like he's entertaining, he's a good wrestler, all that kind of stuff. He got very, very frustrated here, and so when I signed, I came here with the idea of I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can and do the best I can with what they give me. And it's very difficult for guys sometimes to have such high expectations of yourself and then never getting the opportunity to show what you can do. But I think there's kind of a new generation of independent guys who are like, okay, for example, look at Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. They're not doing what they were doing on the independents, and they're actually better off for it. The Shield thing, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's awesome. So
let me ask you this question, which I already know the answer to. If you're trying to get into the WWE, and they've got a character that they would like for you to do, in which we're the biggest and I feel the only company in wrestling, and you go out there and don't do it, how long will you have a job?
Oh, you won't have a job for very long. A perfect example is Johnny Curtis. Johnny Curtis was not doing much of anything. Now
last what, 5 years?
Yeah, he was in developmental for how long? He's a very good wrestler. They turned him into Fandango, and all of a sudden he's winning a match at WrestleMania. I mean, that's a pretty slick trade-off. You know what I mean? And you still get to be able. It's a different character, but you still get to go out there and wrestle. So it's still cool.
And let me say this real quick too. Don't think that Curtis in next year or next month or in 3 years be another character. You know, like the different ones you've been. See? But as long as you're with the WWE and you've got a job and you're doing well and you're doing what they're asking and you're able to pull it off and the boss likes it, man, just keep rolling. Just keep rolling with it.
I think a great example of that would be Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even talking the Spirit Squad thing. Actually, as Dolph Ziggler, the "Hi, my name is" gimmick was really annoying, and who really thought he was going to survive that? Now, look, World Heavyweight Champion.
You're looking at it, right?
Absolutely. Let's go in this side of the room, right there.
During your time in Ring of Honor, what was your favorite feud?
Daniel's favorite time, your favorite feud in Ring of Honor.
Gosh, I really liked the Morishima stuff. Detaching my retina and giving me 2 concussions and all that kind of stuff. I really like that. I really like the stuff with Kenta. But I think my favorite, just kind of rivalry, was with Nigel McGuinness. I don't know, there's probably a lot of WWE fans here who don't know Nigel, but Nigel got signed at the same time that I did, and is actually, I thought, more suited for WWE than me, but he had some shoulder and elbow stuff that when they signed him, when he went to do the medical testing, it didn't go through, and so he ended up going to TNA and doing some really awesome stuff with Kurt Angle, and but now he's out of wrestling, and it's really too bad. It's a loss because he was great at interviews, he was great in the ring, and he's just a fun guy to be around. So that was probably my favorite rivalry in Ring of Honor.
What about you, Ricky? Not maybe necessarily in Ring of Honor, but what was your favorite feud?
Well, you know, I got a lot of PR with, Savage and I at WrestleMania 3, and leading up to that, that was